First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. This has been a long time coming. I know many of you have sat through many meetings to get to this point. We've been talking, working this on and off over the last 4 years. What I'd like to first do is tell everybody here we're very excited to finally be at this point. This is a point that we've worked pretty hard to get to. We're very excited what we're going to show you this evening. Actually, this will be one of the meetings I will try to keep my mouth less of part of the discussion and have my design team do a lot of the presentation. Let me first introduce everybody that's sitting up here on the dais. I think many of you do know who I am. If you do not, I'm Jeff Glazer, who's Vice President of Development for Kimco Realty for this region. To my left, we have Tom Rapture, who is our civil engineer with DSW. I'm a retailer developer. I'm sorry. It's a good way to start.
It's a good shoe store.
Yeah. Next to him is Scott Barheit, Land Use Counsel, who's worked with us for the last 2 years, getting us to this point. To my right is my assistant on the development side, is Greg Reed, also part of Kimco. Next to him is Bryce Turner, with Brown Craig Turner, the architects. And to the right, then I have Wes Gerkert, part of the traffic group. So this evening, we're going to at least share with everybody pieces and parts of the architecture, the planning, some of the storms, some of the improvements we're proposing to the site, and also some of the traffic issues that we see that we need to address in the project. This evening is more of us presenting to you. We're going to probably take the next approximately 45 minutes presenting our concept to you, where we've been, how we got here. Many of you have always asked, and I will just give a brief synopsis of where we go from here. This is our first pre-community meeting prior to us ever filing with the county. From this meeting, we are obligated to then go in front of DAP, which is the Design Advisory Panel in the county, to get their input on the concept and on the plan and on the architecture we're proposing. We're going to then, after that meeting, we then are going to have our second pre-community meeting, just like the same format. And that second pre-community meeting, hopefully, we will have incorporated some of the comments we hear this evening from the community, some stuff we hear at DAP, and as we keep going through the process, even the retailers that we'll be talking to and users, the end users of the facility, will get incorporated into the planning process. Only until we get through the second community presentation, pre-submission community meeting, we then make a formal filing with the county of a development plan for revising the original FDP, or final site plan that was originally developed here 40 years ago. So we're still several months away from that. We're looking at going in front of DAP sometime early this fall. If everything goes right, I'd like to be back in front of the community late this year or very early next year with the revisions that we propose, and then sometime early next year making our formal submission within the county. So that's where we go from here. This evening's presentation is we're going to present for that first 45 minutes, share where and how we've gotten to where we are today. And we're also then going to I will try to, as structured as I can do it, with a relatively large attendance here, go through this room as systematically as I can, taking any questions or comments of what you have seen this evening from our proposal. We'll spend about an hour and a half after our presentation taking comments. I've been told, and I believe there's a handout out there, that the board, the village board, is setting up, I think, 2 or 3 listening sessions of the community, I believe starting next week. There's a handout out there, and I think there's a survey or comments they're looking for. That goes to the board. At some point this evening, I will also hand out a sheet for anybody to give us your comments if you are not comfortable standing up, asking the questions here, or got questions about anything we're proposing. We're going to hand out probably after our presentation. So while you're sitting here, if you'd like to jot down some comments, some questions, we're going to give out a sheet here. You can hand those to me before I leave this evening. And if you've got more things you want to add that this time doesn't allow you and you want to sit here and listen to everybody's comments, what we will do is we're going to set up a box for a drop-off. Our regional Columbia office is located in Wilde Lake Village Center now, above the bagel bin. So at any time throughout the week, working hours, you can drop off your comments at that office, and I will be picking them up every couple of days so I can compile and make sure we've taken and heard everybody's comments. So if I don't get to hear everybody's comments this evening, everybody still has a very clear path to get their comments heard to us. That's the procedure for tonight, and that's how we're going to move forward here. How we got to this point, we've got a center here that we believe is well located. It's a positive piece of real estate. We're excited about its location, but it certainly needs to evolve to the next generation. It is the original Village Center. It is the Village Center that got started in Columbia. We're very sensitive to it. Over the last 4 years, I've sat through numerous meetings, listening, and hopefully tonight you see that we have heard many of the concerns and interests that the community has laid out to me over those last 4 years, that we've incorporated some of those thoughts. I know I could not have incorporated all the thoughts, but I think we've tried to do a balancing act of what we can actually do feasibly, what the market is going to let us do, and what you as a community has said this is important to retain as a service to Wilde Lake and a gathering place for the community. So we've tried to hear all that. We've tried to juggle it with what's going on downtown. Without me going into much more detail, I'm going to stop here, and I'm sure many of you will have questions as we're going through the presentation. What I would ask everybody is to please hold your questions until we get through the presentation, and I will spend the next hour and a half going through the audience, hopefully addressing many of the comments, or at least listening to your comments. I may not have answers for everybody, but at least I'll be hearing, and the design team here will all be able to hear cohesively the concerns, thoughts, or hopefully a lot of the positives of what we're proposing here. With that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Bryce Turner. He's going to start the slideshow, PowerPoint. I think you're going to stand?
I am.
Do it. So from this point, Bryce, and don't, I've promised not to interrupt Bryce too much as he goes through the presentation. But clearly, if there are things that I want to make sure that I've heard for so many private meetings I've had with people in this audience, I want to make sure that you hear that we've taken consideration, and some of the stuff I could answer and enhance from what Bryce is going to share with you. So from here, Bryce, it's yours.